an hour in Long Island.
On Long Island,
Yeah.
I saw some pictures of like very green. Seems like it has.
Yeah, very green is fake news. I mean, you can make very green anywhere. Good morning. With the help of Hashem, we are learning Yerushalmi Shvi is Peirik Tes Halacha Dalid. We're learning today Daf Ayin Hey. We're beginning on Daf Ayin Hey Amid of 3 lines from the top of the Amid in the beginning of the Gemara. Let's quickly review our Mishnah. The Mishnah spoke about a case where a person pickled 3 different types of vegetables, each one having, other than the sheet of Rab Shimon, each one having another time of biur, because each vegetable has a different life longevity time in the field out there in the wild when you do not pick them, and they pickle them all together. So any possible opinion is actually had in our Mishnah. First, we have the opinion of Rabbi Eliezer. Rabbi Eliezer was the most machmer. Rabbi Eliezer holds that the time of biur for all of that barrel, for all of the vegetables that are pickled together, is determined by the time of the biur of the first one, which makes sense, because since the flavor of each one is imparted and absorbed in the other, so the moment one of them has to be biured, that affects the status of all of them have to be biured. On the other hand, Rabbi Yoshua, and the Gemara will begin today just with a wonderment, without an explanation, he holds the opposite, that fakert, since each one has in it at least some of the taste of the other, so the leniency of the other is adopted by each and every one. So when do you have to do biur by these 3 pickled items? Only when the final one is no longer to be found in the field. I'm just quoting their words. Rabbi Eliezer says that oichlin al harishoin means only when the moment you can't have the first, you can't have any. Rabbi Yeshua says af al ha'achroin. Rabban Gamliel, as we explained yesterday, is of the opinion that there is no din biur on blias. So I don't care that one absorbed the taste of the other. Each vegetable follows its own time of the biur. Doesn't matter that they're pickled together. And then we have on the top of the Amud of Ayin Hey, we have the 4th and final opinion. And Rab Shimon's opinion is not related to Belios, but it's a bigger opinion that will affect the din of the 3 vegetables pickled together. And quoting his words, Rabbi Shimon Omer, that called Yerek Achas Lebir. And then Rabbi Shimon explained that the purslane is the one that lasts the longest, and the ones that are hidden over there in the valley. And bottom line is that since all vegetables only follow the final vegetable type when it is no longer available in the field, we view all vegetables as to be one. They all shared the same time of biur, the last one. So therefore, it doesn't matter b'chlal that they were pickled together. Now, many times already, we mentioned the machlokes between the Rambam and the Ramban. What exactly is biur? How does one do biur? And in today's daf, we're going to have at least a great insight as to the origins of this machlokes. We're going to learn the opinion of Chizkiah. Chizkiah has a very lenient opinion when it comes to doing biur, and we'll explain Chizkiah lefishitas Ramban that biur demands for you to be mafker that product, and not only that, after you are mafker, after you declare, or perhaps you do an action that the action declares the product ownerless, even the original owner is allowed to take it back forever. Chizkiah is a chiddush that says that you don't have to remove all of the shvi'is that you have in your house. You are allowed to only remove some of it, declare all of it hefker, but you only have to remove some of it, and then again, you can take back that which you physically put out, and not only that, but that and everything else now will become yours. That's a very simple way of learning Chizkiah. I mean, we're going to learn this all inside. We're going to learn a very important Rashadilio that when you learn it, we'll already understand where does the Rambam come from, where does the Ramban come from. Don't forget the Rambam holds that biur doesn't mean that you're mafkid it and you can take it back. No, biur means similar to biur of chametz. You have to take it out of your house and you have to destroy it. Elama, when the time of beer comes, you don't have to burn it right away. You don't have to destroy it right away. You can still keep the meal for three. You can keep 3 meals amount of the product. Mazin gimel su'udis, and you can invite your chavedim and give each one mazin gimel su'udis. So I don't believe that people had that much product of the 7th year to begin with, because you're not allowed to pick a lot. So even according to the Rambam, it wasn't that everyone was burning heaps of food. People basically, they picked a smaller amount, and whatever they had, they would call their chavedim. And just like we keep on mentioning by the carbon toida, that the fact that you have to bring the carbon toida together with 40 loaves of bread, even though you give away 4 to the kahanim, but you have 36. How can you eat up 36 loaves of bread without having noisad? You can't leave it over beyond the allotted time. It demands of you to call your friends. And people would have a big, when you have a lot of people together, you can, depending on how many people, 36 loaves of bread can go very quick. Anyways,
so one second, about according to the Rambam, you're saying after Zman beer, it's not hefker to everybody else?
No, according to the Rambam, after the Zman of beer, it has to be destroyed.
Aha.
And all of that.
Nobody could have it.
Huh?
Nobody could have it.
No one can have it. At the time of the beer, you can have Mazan Gimel Su'udas, and you can give to your Chavedim Mazan Gimel Su'udas. Zman of beer is when this product is no longer available in the field. Okay. Now, again, let's go with that Ramban. The Rash Ilio will help you understand the Rambam. But we're going to generally follow the Shita of the Ramban, that all that is needed is for you to declare it Hefker. And actually, we're going to see some sugya today about Hefker. Hefker could be done verbally. Hefker could be done physically. When you physically take something out of your house and you put it out there in the public, that act is the way that you are declaring the item ownerless. Then we have this concept of Rachmana Afkara, who says you have to do anything. Once the time of beer comes, there was a concept that since I'm obligated to be mafkarit, so it's almost as if it was declared ownerless by itself. We'll see how we apply that. And at the end of today's daf, we're going to have a very interesting story between Rabbi Chizkiah and Rabbi Yirmiyah, with all different ways of learning the story. And accordingly, we'll have a better understanding of exactly how beer works. Again, all of this is the origins of the machlokes between the Rambam and the Ramban. So let's begin. So daf ayin hey, beginning with the Gemara. The Gemara says, "My time of the Rabbi Eliezer, who holds that what that oichlin al horishain, oichlin al horishain again is l'chumra." What's the reason? He says very simple. That's easy because since horishain noisen tam va'achroin, right? Again, we made it clear yesterday. It's not that these 3 items are so different in their quantities that one is bottle in the other. That's not the case. It doesn't have to be 33% of each one, but each one is a substantial part of this picklings that's going on over here. And each one imparts flavor, each one absorbs flavor. So since each one has the flavor of the other, so whenever the first one has to be biurd, the other ones also have to be biurd, because the first is in all of them. Problem is, my time of the Rabbi Yeshua, before the Gemara says the words of the question, because the same logic. In other words, since each one imparts flavor in the other, so as long as even a minute part of a vegetable, right, has flavor from something that did not yet reach the time of biur, then it doesn't have to be, then it itself does not hit the biur deadline. And the Gemara says the words, but v'kashya al the Rabbi Yeshua, but this has to be explained, because ein harishain noisen tam ba'achroin. I get it, that the achroin imparts its flavor in the rishain, but does it not also go the other way around? It does, right? Each one has in it the taste of all 3. So the problem is, what's the reason for his leniency? That's the way the Marafulda look inside the Gemara, and the Marafulda 8 lines from the top. And the first Mara of the Gemara, the Kasha al the Rabbi Yeshua, ein harisha noisen tam ba'achroin. So v'lama loy nelech l'chumra shechayv levayir and v'loy mishane klum. The Gemara doesn't answer anything. Now this is something that we do have a discussion in the Bavli in various places. And in the Bavli, you have different answers that the Rishonim offer to this question. First one is something that we quoted many daf ago, that we are following the opinion that Shvi'is, when Yovel is not Noyeg, is only applicable, is only in effect midrabanan. And therefore, since Shvi'is is only midrabanan, that's why they were lenient. Rabbi Shua was lenient by saying that afalo achrei. That's one approach. And we'll leave it at that. And I know that there are other approaches. There's a Rabbeinu Tam in Toisvis in Pesachim Daf Nun Beis that actually doesn't accept that it's because it's midrabanan. He finds various psukim from which we learn the din of Rabbi Yeshua, which means that even when Shvi'is is noyeg midoiraisa, this idea that we are able to follow this very lenient approach is biblically sourced. Elamad, the Gemara here in the Yerushalmi did not give the source. Then we learned the third opinion. Weiter in the Gemara, Rabban Gamliel Oimer, that kol shekola minoi basada, that we don't b'chlal care about beliyos, view each vegetable separately. If this type is no longer available, then you vitamin achavias, meaning prior, when it's still yes available, then you don't have to do beer. Says the Gemara, Tani, we learned actually in a Braisa that the halacha kidvarov, which is amazing. That halacha is not like Rabbi Eliezer, not like Rabbi Yeshua. We pass on like, right, the head of the Sanhedrin, like the Rabban Gamliel, absorbed flavors do not trigger the beer obligation. Okay, period. And now we're learning something that is really huge. Since we don't have Rashi, we don't have Tosfos, it's really hard to appreciate the nuance of how there are so many different ways of learning the Gemara. But we're going to learn a little bit. We'll do the best we could. We're going to learn, like we mentioned, we're going to speak out the Gemara Kipshutai, which is more simple, which is like the Marafulda does. And because of today's daf being very short, even though today is Rosh Chodesh, we have to spend time and learn the Rash Shirilio, and we will all be introduced to a whole background of beer that we were never aware of up until now. Says the Gemara, Chizkiya Amar. And I want to begin by saying, again, we're going to follow the understanding of the Ramban, that once the time of biur comes, you have to remove it. Let's begin. You have to remove it from your property and declare it ownerless. Post that biur removal, everyone is allowed to take from it, including the original owner, and the original owner can take all of it back. Let's go with that premise. So on now, which is already very lenient, because when people hear the word biur, simply since we practice biur chametz, you have a different understanding of biur. Biur chametz, oy gewalt, you get rid of all the chametz, God forbid for you to take it back. Here we're saying declare it ownerless and take it all back. So on top of that, Chizkiah has a big leniency that you don't even have to remove all of it from your home. Once you begin to remove that product from your storage, so we say, it's as if all of it has been removed. Wowie. Look inside, again, the Marafulda, and then we're going to learn the Rash Elio. So the Marafulda says that mekiven shehischel avayir min ha'oitzer harei kemavur, meaning even that which remains, something that you did not even physically remove from your home. So first of all, removing a little bit, ki'ilu, you removed it all. And then that which is in your house, ki'ilu, you took it back, even though you didn't touch it. No, it's the little part that you removed and you declared ownerless. For you to reacquire that, you have to take it back. The part in your house that is ki'ilu, you removed it, but right after that, it's ki'ilu, you reacquired it. And v'chein pirishu ha'toisvis, he brings some psachim daf man beis on the base, b'shem ri, clearly, the chichoizer v'zachaboy, yachoy le'echoy u'lekayim ad gemira. In other words, you can reacquire it and eat it. Hello. So what's the din of beer? Beer means you have to remove it. That's why we're saying beer by chametz means to burn, to destroy. Biur by Shvius means to remove. Now, the Chizkiya Sviralei, that afilu loy biur ela miktsasai, even if you only removed a little bit, havalei kimavuar hanishar kimavuar and hanishar ki ilu chazer v'zachaboy. It's two things, two kedushim. Number one, you remove a little bit. You remove 10%. The 90% is as if you removed it. Number two, the 90% now is reacquired. Just like we already know that whatever you removed, you can reacquire. Now that's something easier to eat. You removed all of it, you can take all of it back. Here we're saying, no, you didn't touch it. Now, how little do you have to remove? I don't know. The words of Chizkiah is, Mekivan shehischel ba'oitzer, it can be a very small amount. That's a very simple way of learning Chizkiah. And we have time, guys. I know it's
Something I'm sure. Can I actually be mafre? Is it really?
so that's a lot. That's a lot of what we will be discussing over here. And again, it's predicated. A lot of this is predicated in the Rishonim, whether Shvius is midorais or midarabana. I'm sure you can argue that these leniencies are only because Shvius is only midarabana. I'm sure there are those that say that this leniency of Chizkiah maybe would not be said when Shvius is midorais. Now, look inside the Rashi Elio, and we're going to get a much better understanding of what's happening. We're going to see that there are two times of biur, according to that which he brings.
Rabbanon versus Daraisa.
Yes.
Are you talking about specifically this idea of beer and
And
this?
all the whole din of Shvius. That's something that we will clearly have in the next Pedic. That we learned this in Gittim Psachim, right? That Shmitas Ksafim. How can Hillel make a prusbel?
Yeah.
The Torah says you have to be mishamed because it's only midrabbanan.
Wait, but there is a concept of biblical shmita, right?
Yeah. Bisman shal yovel noig. Yeah. In other words, all I'm saying is that perhaps this
Like this whole thing only applies at a time.
perhaps only midrabbanan. Perhaps Chizkiah is leniency. Chizkiah is saying, see how lenient we become. Like at the end, you'll take out a kazayis, you'll put it out there, and you'll take it back.
I think there's, let's say,
I don't know if what I'm saying is correct. I'm saying perhaps Chizkiah's leniency, as understood by Tosfos, is only when it's midrabbanan, because it sounds to me too lenient. Let's look inside the Rashi Elio. It's a very big Rashi. We can start, guys, on the top left column. Look inside the top of left. There's already a middle. V'hachi tana hasa. That what? That mishi yeshli pei shvius. Read this, right? You see the top left column. The Gia Shas Biur, Ketza Diasem. So first of all, Mechalek Mehem Lishchena Velekreivov Ulumiyudov. This sounds to me like the Rambam. You gotta, give it out, divide it out amongst your chavedim. Oi Moitzi Umaniach Al Pesach Beisai VeOimer Achenu Beis Yisrael Shimu Herzechzu Mi Shetzarech Litol Yitol. Okay, so clearly that you take it out, you make a declaration, and then until when it's no longer existent. What does that mean? Pedish, not until when you finish it. Not until when you finish it. It means Pedish in other words, what the Rashi really is introducing to us is that there is a time of biur, Danny, because it's no longer available in the fields around where people live. And for that, he follows the Ramban. At that time, you have to make it hefker or give it away to your friends, but you can reacquire it. But then there's like when it's mamish, you can't find it anywhere. You can't even find it in the forests. Then you have to completely destroy it. Avol mishakol mikol ha'afarechia kefi hamakim shudar. Meaning, we have to go back to the Mishnah prior. Im haramelach kishayurai, vim golol elan kishayurai. Now, listen to these words. Asurim bahanoya ubo ibud min ha'toira k'moisha ani asad lefarish lekaman. This is so important. In other words, he puts together the Ramban and the Rambam. Puts it together. He's saying there's two times of biur. Look in the dot. The ka'amar ha'chei now, the im hiskol lechol min ha'oitzer, lechol min ha'oitzer, for who hakeli sheyesh leibo oitzer, sheyesh by davar kavush. He understands Chizkiah is going back to the case of the Mishnah. You opened up a barrel. Kigoin yarak kayetzaboin. You began eating it koidim sheyichlu aniyim yirakay sasodem you began eating it before the first time of biur, hareu kimavuar, it's already considered you did biur, meaning shekiven paschoi leechel bnei bayis. Since you opened it up and you open up these pickles, my friend, it looks like once you opened up the barrel, there was like you needed to eat it up. So it's as if they were already bnei bayis yichlu ukekali dame ve'in tzarich letzim in a pesach habayis. This is mamash amazing. In other words, what is Chizkiah saying, Danny? That when it comes to the first time of biur, which for there you do what the Ramban says. In other words, it's no longer available in the fields. But if you would really go out there in the forest, who knows where you would find some. So you don't have to destroy it yet. It's not yet asur b'hana. So normally the din is when the time of biur comes, you have to take it out. So now in the case of the pickles, once people opened up a pickle barrel, it wasn't something that it's an individual, like I have one product, I have one thing. No, once you open up the barrel, everyone around there is going to take of it. That's the way it worked. So it's as if you removed it from your home. That's why he began by saying that when the first time of biur comes, you don't have to be mafkeret. You can invite all of your friends, all of your guests, and you can tell each one to eat of it, so they're going to eat it up. So the point is once you don't have to destroy it, biur means let's make sure it's finished. When you open up a pickle barrel, it's going to get finished. That's what he's saying. When it was closed, it would stay for a long time. When you opened it up and you needed to consume it, so it's as if you were mafkeret. That's the way.
Is his mahalach basically saying there's no like this Rambam and Ramban?
Well, it's amazing. It's amazing. I don't know how you put that together. He's saying that there's two times of biur, and then he's saying that Chizkiah, it's completely different than the marafulda. You don't have to be you don't have to put any of it outside. Mekivan shehischel ba'oitzin means when you have a pickled barrel that you open up. Since in the first time of biur, there's two things that you do: either you invite all of your friends to eat, or you have to put it outside your house to be mafkeret. Opening up a pickled barrel is as if you invited all your friends to eat it. Because once the pickled barrel is open, everyone in the home will keep on eating from it. So that is called a biur. The biur that you need at the first biur is enough by opening up a pickled barrel. It's a whole different chizkiah. Let's go weiter. Also, uvda kumei Rabbi Yasa, and he paskent like chizkiah. Let's go back to the manafulda. The Marafulda is simple, right? He quoted from the Ri, from Tosfos and Psachim. That biur means you have to be mafkeret. Before the Chizkiah, mafkeret would have meant you have to put all of it outside. And the Chizkiah is saying, you have to a little bit. And Omar, and he said, when Abiyasa paskin so leniently, loy da anno sovar kavase. It's not that I myself would have ruled like Chizkiah, because he's too lenient. I'm not the one that's saying, rely on him. Everyone says you can rely on him. Ela min ma da anan chamyon. When I saw that all of the Rabbanan of the Uvda Kavase, so Rabbi Yasa says, I'm not gonna be Poirish Minat Tzibur. I'm not gonna be the Machmir when everyone is so lenient. This is amazing. Weiter. Guys, it's gonna get from this to even more amazing. Rabbi Yitzchak bar Redifa. Havalei Uvda. Okay, what was the incident? He wanted to know exactly. The time of biur came. Then we're following with the Ramban. Or like you said, I understand it the same way, that even according to the Rashirilio now, the Rambam, maybe, when the Rambam says you have to destroy it, it's at the final time of biur. But when it would be enough to remove it, these people wanted to make sure that they end up retaining all of it. That was their goal. Also, Shaul Rabbi Yirmiyah, whom we're going to have on Amud Beis, very importantly, how should I do it? How can I retain all of this product even though the time of biur came? So Amalei Rabbi Yirmiyah told him that Ma Aryavasa Kamach, you're coming to ask me a shaila? You have a lion before you. The lion was Rabbi Yoshia. You have a lion in front of you, Va'at Shal, and you're coming and asking a question, L'ta'alaya, you're asking a question to a fox, right? Talia is a fox. How great is that? Okay, in other words, Rabbi Yirmiyah didn't want to paskin. You go ask the big Rav. Also, Sha'al Rabbi Yoshia, again, what was he wanting? He wanted to end up retaining all of the product, even though the time of biur came. So Amalei, I'll tell you how to do it. And guys, I can say right now, there isn't enough for me. The Noisa Kalim that we have in the Gemara leaves for me many questions open. This is like new things. If I understand the Gemara correctly, what Rabbi Yoshia said was, you do not have to remove it from your home. You have to make a verbal declaration of Hefker. And he's telling you that what must you do? How does one make a verbal declaration of Hefker? You have to declare it in front of 3 people. Now, what happens, Danny, if I declare something Hefker, okay, when I'm speaking about removing, not removing, put that aside for a second. When I declare something Hefker, the people who know that it's Hefker, they can acquire it. They could acquire it. This guy wanted to retain it. So he told him, go to your friends. Your friends know you, meaning they know you're a stingy person. You know, you don't want to share. You know, you want to keep your vegetables. So fulfill your obligation. And because of them being your friends, they won't take it, so you'll reacquire it. That's what he told him. Amalei chamilach. Go find, go look for yourself. Rechamin, 3 chaverim. You see from the din of Rabbi Yoshia that a verbal declaration of hefker has to be made in front of 3 people, which, by the way, is a big chiddush. Because normally, you have edim. Even if you need edim, then chavra de chavra. 3 is a din of a beis din. But he's saying hefker has to be done in front of 3. And then va'afkara kumayin. We already have so many times the fei and the veis in the Yerushalmi are interchanged one with the other. And be mafkir, and if we look inside the last marafulda. Chamilach re'ei locha shloisham oyhavim va'afkar lifneim. Now maybe you do have to remove it. Point is veheim lo yisku boy. Why your friends? Because even though you declared it hefker, they won't acquire it achash ifkarta. Why won't they take it? Because sheyoyhavim shalochem. They're your friends, and they know that it used to be yours. It's the bigger chiddush of Rabbi Yoshi is that to make something hefker, really hefker, you have to do it in front of 3 people. People ask a question, if we're going to go kishitas toisvis, that the biur chametz is din hefker, right? And we say by the kol chamira that hefker, we say the words hefker. Why don't we have a din of 3 people there? That's not a question, because by chametz on Pesach, right? The Chazal says there's shnei dvarim she'einam b'reshusam shel adam, but v'hatoyra asu kihilu ein b'reshusam. It's really chametz doesn't belong to you. It's a big difference. So there, even if we're going to understand biur or bittul, if bittul is midin hefker, it's easier to do hefker by chametz. So don't ask, we don't find this din of shloisha anoshim. But the first thing he's saying is that hefker, you have to be mafker it. And he's telling him hefker has to be done in front of 3 people. The challenge is they're going to take it. Find 3 friends. Look on daf ayin hamad base. Hold on. So now, kaput koi ditzipoiden. Now, normally kaput koim refers to Turkish. So these are Jews from Turkey. They moved to Tzipoiden. It looks like no one was their friends. Or the Turkish people, they would not fargin. If you're mafkir it, you're mafkir it. They had a problem with this solution. They would not find a way of inviting 3 people and declaring something hefker for the others not to take it. So kaput koy ditzipoiden, they came and they asked Rav Imi, we know what Rabbi Yoshia said, but begin the leis le'ilan amarachem, these nations, our nation, Turkish, we don't have rechamim, we don't have chaverim. And not only do we not have really friends, but worse, v'loy sha'al shalom, we don't even have people that wish us shalom aleichem. They felt themselves to be completely outcasts. So what do we do? But what should we do? Again, the kavana was for them to end up with their produce. Look inside the top marafulda kaput koi, meaning the Jews that came from Kaputkia, that's Turkey. And they lived in Tzipoiden. Not only did they not have friends, but no one would say hello. Sometimes you walk into a shul, no one even forget about you had no chaverim. And what was the so what? The problem is if they would be mafkeret the way Rabbi Yoshia says, at least the 3 people would take it. So so says Ravimi. Okay, so he said, like I mentioned before, that I understand from the Amud Aleph that you don't even have to take it out of your house, from what Ravimi responded. And that is, Danny, is that if you physically remove it from your house, you don't have to do it in front of people. Now, that's a great solution, because if hefker suffices for me to physically remove it from my house, then all I need to do is remove it from my house when there's no one on the sidewalk, when there's no one on the street. Remove it from your house. The act of removal and leaving it abandoned for a moment is an act that makes it hefker. And since no one is there, you can take it right back. Tzilila means it's clear. When there's no one walking on your block, then tavun mafkin le'lishuka, you should take it out to the street. Again, I understand all of this is that Rabbi Yosha never said to take it out to the street. Umafkin in lay, again, make believe the vase is a fey. Now, I don't even think you have to make a declaration, because you don't have in front of whom. Your act of taking it out is an act of hefker. No one is there. And now you can reacquire it. Beautiful. I think I'm saying correct, and I think that when you make a declaration of hefker in front of 3 people, it means that if they would have wanted, they can actually go into your home and take it. It's not, again, why do you have to do it in front of your chavedim? Because it can't be that when you make a declaration of hefker, the 3 people are unable to take it. That can't be. I really understand that Rabbi Yosha says that hefker can be done by a verbal declaration, and those people can take it. And if you want to make sure that you keep it, say it in front of people that won't take it. Or the way we understand hefker, like Ravimi, you don't have to make declarations. Hamaisa hua ikar, remove it from your house.
You have the 3 people, you don't have to take it out.
That's the way I understand it. Now, hold on. All of this, the Gemara doesn't want us to give the impression that in the ideal world, when Hashem said biur, you end up keeping all of it. Yeah, that's something that you can end up doing if you want to. But you know what Hashem really wanted by biur? That other people should take it. Now, other people should take it also doesn't mean a sum zero, binary. They'll take all of it. You can also take some of it back. Danny, this is more like the Rambam. God wanted for other your Reuven to take some, for Shimon to take some, for Levi, and you also get to take some. And that's what the following Amoraim did. That Rab Chagai was mefalig tzeloichion. He would distribute his tzeloichioins. A tzeloichion is a flask of wine. These are generally larger flasks that would have a spout. Okay, in other words, these are nice quantities of wine. He would distribute it. Distributing it means that, again, not like the Rambam. Let's go even with the Rashadilio, even like the Rambam. It was at some point where the Chavedim took, and they also took. I want to say that. Point is that they did not want to keep all of it. They found that to be against the spirit of what Hashem wanted. Beautiful. Now a story. My friends, if you want, again, there's no Rashi and Tosfos. We can spend the whole day on this story to understand exactly what happened. But let's read. We'll read the words, and I'll read the words of the Mara Fulda, and you'll see that a lot more than what is written is not written. So the 2 Chavedim here are Rabbi Chizkiah and Rabbi Yirmiyah. Rabbi Yirmiyah then held cup. It's one-liner. Rabbi Yirmiyah had produce in the basement in the house of Rabbi Chizkiah. Okay? The time of biur is coming. Now we're going to introduce the final. The final thing today is that who even says that the original owner has to declare it hefker? There is another concept in halacha, and that is called the rachmana afkera. Like there is a havamina to say that once the time of biur comes, whenever that is, since there is an obligation to be mafkerit, why don't we view it? It's as if Hashem declared it ownerless. Let's read the story. So Rabbi Chizkiah went to Rabbi Yirmiyah. Okay? And don't forget, then Rabbi Chizkiah had in his home the produce of Rabbi Yirmiyah. He was the shomer. Amalei, and Rabbi Chizkiah tells Rabbi Yirmiyah, he let him know, I have a kind of Yirmiyah. It's amazing, right? You had all this produce that you asked me to safeguard. I did my job. But now that it's the time of biur, turns out it's all mine now. Zachisi behem oitzra. Why is it all mine? Look inside the simplest pshat in the middle of the Mara folder, right along. And Vigiasman Habior. He told Rabbi Yirmiyah, listen, there's a chisi, but oiso oitzer, sheyesh l'cha bebeisi min ha'hefker. Rabbi Yirmiyah did not make the verbal declaration. He did not do a physical hefker. I'll tell you why. Because the Rachmana afkera, afal pi sha'ata dain leifkarta oiser. This is what he told him. He was challenging him. He was teasing him. You can keep your finger in the Mara folder, guys. We are in the first line under the Gemara, but we're reading it now in the Gemara because there was a back and forth, and you see that this wasn't a psak din that Rachmana afkera that it's mine. He was like threatening him. He was the beer tie, it's mine. Amalei, Rabbi Yirmiyah right away says he outsmarted him. Now, why did he even have to outsmart him? That's very insightful. First of all, he told him Rabbi Yirmiyah gave Rabbi Chizkiah a bunch of coins. And he asked me a favor, can you tie them up, put them in a bag? Sorely inan pritayo gabayach. A prutalach, guys, it wasn't a lot of money, but he had a bunch of loose coins in his pocket. He gave Rabbi Chizkiah these coins and he told him, can you please put it in a pouch? So Rabbi Chizkiah took the coins. Now, he took the coins, the way it sounds, he gave him the coins, just can you organize them? They're like loose. Do you have like a bag? Put them in a bag? The moment Rabbi Chizkiah, the Balabayas, took it, Amalei, now Rabbi Yirmiyah tells Rabbi Chizkiah, you took money from me. This is rent for the place of where my produce is. I'm paying rent. What does paying rent have to do? King and Chatzit. Keep your finger in the Gemara, look inside the Marafulda. So Rabbi Yirmiyah, tzurli hanamois. What does that mean? Miloshin v'tzarta hakesef. But when he gave him the money, he didn't tell him straight, can I rent the place upon which my produce is laying? He didn't tell him that. He told him, you see already that Rabbi Chizkiah was a custodian for the Avimia. So he gave him more money. But now that you took money from me, no, this is not money for you to watch for me. Now I paid you rent for the place. Now now I acquired it. One second. It comes along. This is great. Rabbi Chizkiah. And he tells him, it didn't work. And he told him something great. Amalei loy kein afkatach chazar v'zochisobei. Since you did not declare it ownerless, this is amazing. When do we say Danny Kinyan Chatzed acquires after it's Hefker? It's not Hefker yet. Now hold on. If it's not Hefker yet, then how did Rabbi Chizkiah claim to acquire it because it wasn't his house? So here we're differentiating between the original owner, listen to these words, my friends, and someone else. Someone else, it's possible, this is what Rabbi Chizkiah is telling Rabbi Yirmiyah, that another person's chatzid, my house, Rabbi Chizkiah's house, will be able to acquire it, even though Rabbi Yirmiyah did not make the declaration of Hefker, as we learned from Rabbi Yoshia. But for Rabbi Yoshia for Rabbi Yirmiyah to reacquire it, when he himself did not even declare it Hefker, Rachmana Afkara doesn't mean that it's Mamash Hefker. Rachmana Afkara means that if someone else were to take it, they would have a claim to it. They would have a claim to it. Even though you did not declare it Hefker, because Rachmana Afkara. If you want to reacquire it, then you have to declare it Hefker. Now, in my understanding, it wasn't that Rabbi Chizkiah was actually taking it from him. Rabbi Chizkiah was telling Rabbi Yirmiyah, listen, here's a chaim, you have produce, the time of beer came. If you're not going to do something, it's mine. Rabbi Yirmiyah did not want Rabbi Chizkiah to have any claim over it. So he got him to say, no, I own the place, I rented the place, it's already mine. He says, no. Now, all of this is a great insight, behemshach to the bigger topic of this daf. Maybe it was put together here as to the definition of hefker, and we already mentioned that there is a big machlokes rishonim. I'm sorry, there's a machlokes tanoim. What hefker is, Danny? Is hefker meaning it's not mine? Or does hefker mean, this is a machlokes rishonim in the tanoim, or hefker means that when something is mine, you're not allowed to take it. When I declare it hefker, you are allowed to take it. I'm not allowed to stop you from taking it. But if no one took it yet, it's still mine. So if we're going to go with the latter, then the story works perfectly. In other words, Rachmana Afkara means another person can take it. But it's still yours. It's still yours. You have to do beer.
Where's the declaring after?
The declaring hefker would mean that now it's not the owners. When you declare it hefker, then it's no longer the owners. When Rachmana Afkara, it's still the owners, but other people have the right to take it. That's the way you'll understand Pshat in the story. Or there's so